Go.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, David, go.
hello everybody. Welcome to CripChat, your weekly podcast for everything disability. Today we have with us Jonathan Shar,
Hello.
Ibby Dee,
Hello.
and myself. Da-
Cool.
uh, Feel free to ask questions on the chat and make comments if you need to.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. So, Jonathan, what are we going to be talking about today?
So we're still thinking about culture, diversity, and disability.
So, cultural diversity and disability.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, David, what are your thoughts? You come from a cultural background, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? People with disability, being a person with disability from a cultural background, what is one thing that gets to you, I guess, or you would like to share with the viewers?
Well, you've got some cultural, like some the cultural backgrounds. Some people get embarrassed with their disability, disabled children or disabled relatives.
Oh yeah, that's for like the family members and thing. And how does that impact on the person with the disability?
They're more hidden
Mm-hmm.
and they're always saying, "Oh, poor thing," and they
Yes, it's the perceptions, isn't it? It's the
the
perceptions, it's the way
perceptions. Yes,
people view people with disability, and the assumption that because you have a disability that you need to be looked after. And so, yeah, like you said,
exactly.
David, people get left behind. People with disabilities get left behind,
Look,
especially if they're from a cultural background.
yes. Can I share someone I met recently a few years
Yeah,
ago?
yeah.
I don't want to. Should I say his background?
No, just he's from a cultural background. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he is blind. I'm blind, but I was
Yes.
blind later in life. He was blind from when he was young. The
Yep, yep.
kid, the guy doesn't know how to use a cane.
Yep.
He does. He can't go anywhere by himself. He's
Mm-mm.
always got to have a family member with him,
Mm-mm. Yep.
and he's over 18. He's more than 20. He's probably 30 years old now. The guy
Oh, yeah.
goes nowhere by himself. Does nothing by himself.
Well, yeah,
And his whole family
and because
babies
of
him.
his cultural background, he's
Yeah,
gonna be probably independent for the rest of his life.
exactly. And he does.
Mm.
And they baby him.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they put him down, like they
No,
talk
no, no,
down on
no,
him.
no, 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 no. They don't talk down. They. If you need something, they straight away they do it for him.
Oh,
They
okay, yeah.
he can't rely on himself.
Mm-mm. So his independence is limited.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts, Jonathan? The perceptions of people from cultural backgrounds having a disability.
Well, I think Australia is a multicultural society but we've yet to fully embrace disability. And when a person has a disability and may not speak English as a second, as a first language, they may face more prejudice just because people don't know how to include them.
Yeah, so Jonathan, you think inclusion is the key to make people with disability, especially from cultural backgrounds, blend in and fit into the society? It's all about inclusiveness, isn't it? And
Yes,
educating the public, because, yeah, like I said, Australia is a multicultural country, and it's a beautiful country. But the support for people with disabilities, especially from cultural backgrounds, it still needs to be improved. We still need to educate people about including people with disability.
You
We
see,
still need to educate. It's very important.
Ibby, he was saying there's prejudice for people with that don't speak English first background, for their first
Yeah,
language.
and exactly. The language barriers as well makes them more difficult.
But there's also a language barrier between people that do speak English and are disabled, and people of the normal that have no
Right,
disability,
able-bodied.
able bodies, but their English is not their first background. The English
See,
is there,
look,
and
the
they don't
barriers
speak
that
English
people
either.
from
That's
the
barriers.
barriers that people from cultural backgrounds face, yeah, people with disability from cultural backgrounds are, I guess, not beneath them, but they face more problems. So it makes it very hard for people from cultural backgrounds who don't speak the language to become more included. So how do we tackle that, David?
Education.
That's it. Education is key. Don't you agree with me, Jonathan?
yes, and also my teaching languages other than English at schools so people build up a understanding and can help people communicate with one another.
And I guess that's what the government is there for, to provide those kind of supports, to help
Question.
people from cultural backgrounds. Yeah, David.
I think education from on a when kids start school, they should sort of include disability in the
Mm.
syllabus, where people with
Mm.
kids can understand the different types of disabilities, And
Yeah, and Australia
from
being multicultural,
from
yeah,
from
we go to different throughout different cultures and
from the kids, the parents learn.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, but
But
these kids are gonna grow into adults
yes,
and they're gonna get their own kids. And so it's gonna be passed down from I guess generation to
yeah.
generation.
I guess you got to start somewhere.
You do have to start somewhere. And it's a very important point you point out, David.
But
Yeah, no, it's good.
but
But the
but
government does need to step in to allow that to happen. What are
but
your
with
thoughts, Jonathan? Sorry. Yeah, David, you were
yeah,
saying?
no, with education, people come from overseas and they haven't seen people with disabilities and the way to talk to them. They're gonna have a bit of problems, but to communicate with people with disability.
I mean, there are people with disabilities everywhere. I mean, we're not just found in Australia, you know?
Yeah, I know, I know, I know.
No, it's good. I guess the way they view people with disability is different
Yeah, they view
among
this.
different
Every,
countries.
every culture views people with disability a different way.
Yeah, yeah. And so,
Some
like you said, David, it all comes back to the education.
some people some
Some people
people
like to take advantage of people with disability.
and some people like what's good. These
Yeah.
governments recently made the notes braille. People that are blind
Oh, yeah.
can now know what the notes are.
That's good. It's these small steps that will make a big difference in the future.
Yes.
And so, like I said before, it's the government that needs to step in. It's the government that needs to step in to educate people about language and also tackle assumption and prejudice. Assumptions and perceptions, sorry. Yeah. So people from like my culture, the assumption is because people have a disability, they they must be taken care of by the guardianship or the carer. And so the idea of them being independent is a big concern. It's a big concern for people from my culture.
My culture
Um,
too. They ask me every time, "Where's your carer?"
exactly. We do get that a lot, ladies and gentlemen. We do get that a lot. Where's our carer?
Yeah.
So, how do you tackle that, David? Do you
I told,
do you answer back? Where's your carer? What do
nah,
you do?
I told them I don't need a carer 24/7. I can take care of myself.
Exactly. People need to understand that. They need to stop assuming because assumptions. Yeah, if people assume, yeah, it's gonna make us fall behind in the system and in society, and we won't be able to, I guess, blend in and be inclusive because of these assumptions and these perceptions. It's not good, not good at all. What are your thoughts on that, Jonathan? How do
I
you tackle
think,
assumptions and perceptions?
I think when people make assumptions about what people can and can't do without enough information. It can lead to misunderstandings, which then leads to discrimination and exclusion. What we need to do is break down barriers by being more open about disability issues. Don't let it be a taboo issue.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts on that, David?
So prejudice and
Assumptions
taboo
and
issues.
perceptions.
What's my thought on what?
What people assume and make assumptions. Especially from
Because
your culture, people make a lot of assumptions. How
I
does that
don't.
make you feel?
A lot of people. It comes with a disability. You gotta take it as it comes, and
Mm-mm.
sometimes people assume you're faking it.
Ooh,
A lot of
ooh,
people,
man.
a lot of people think you're faking it.
Man.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's either take it on the chin, and
Mm-mm.
it it's a good thing because I don't look like I've got a disability,
Mm-mm.
and
Yeah, but why one shouldn't hide their disability because of the assumptions that are made. People, whether they say you're faking or not, it's important to understand that as a person with disability, you gotta learn to adapt and I guess live life with your disability. Just you gotta be be the better person, educate
yeah,
the people,
you
bring
can
positive attitude rather than negative attitude.
exactly you can have a positive attitude. All right, so they don't think you've got a disability. Thanks. I know. Thanks. I look better than you. But and keep in your mind that that
Mm.
the reason why they think you're faking it is because you look you look like you don't have a disability.
Yeah.
I I wanted how do my kids who said people are fearful of the unknown.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also the fear of the unknown. Fear of
The
the unknown. You know, what do you think of the fear of unknown?
fear of unknown. Like for example, what do
Mm.
you mean fear of unknown?
Like people are unknown. Like I guess they're scared to live their lives. There's that fear that they'll get like judged or that that's what makes them excluded to society.
You know what?
Um,
I've had people ask me questions. It's like, seriously, man.
Yeah. What kind of
This,
question?
what kind of questions? They go, how do you do it? If I was in your
Mm-hmm.
position, I wouldn't be able to continue.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, but you gotta remember that people with disability aren't superheroes.
But it's
You got
people
it's very important to understand that you gotta live life as it is.
exactly take it as it comes. Look,
We're
what
not we're
life
not everyone's born perfect.
exactly
We gotta
exactly
we gotta learn how to deal with the choices or
the
what
situations we've
life
been
has
put
given
in.
us, basically.
Yeah, you got to play the cards that you have been dealt with. But you got to remember,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that God doesn't put anyone in a position that they can't take care of.
Yeah, look, exactly. But it all comes back down to education as well. You gotta
Education.
educate people.
You got
You
to
gotta
educate
lead by
people.
example.
Exactly. Best way is by leading by example and being humble.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially those from cultural backgrounds.
You
We
got
gotta learn how to change attitudes, to change perceptions.
yeah,
And like I mentioned, the best way to do that is through education.
education and leading by example too.
Yeah, good stuff.
I
Good stuff.
thank you, Frank.
Yes, I think Frank agrees with us 100%.
What is that? What Frank say?
It's a yeah, just it's agreeing with us. It's very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being left behind by the system. Yeah, look, people with disabilities, we do need the government to support us every way we can. And so, being from a cultural background, it may be more difficult to get the services that we do need by the government. We often are being left behind by the system. An example is the NDIS. The NDIS is there to, I guess, help us become more independent with our lives, with our decision
Sometimes,
making.
sometimes being from a cultural background, they
You
they
don't
think
really have much to say. You don't have a say.
they think like your parents think, oh, I don't need the government to take care of you. I'll do it myself. It's like
Exactly,
no.
and sometimes if you're from a cultural background, then you've got a disability, and you need the government to support you. Often you don't have much to say because you've got your carers or your parents talking on your behalf, and that's not fair. It's not
Well,
fair. Do you not agree?
yeah, I agree. They baby you and they
The
think,
government's there to help us become more independent with our lives and with our decision making. But
So,
often being from a cultural background, it's far
so,
from that.
so it'll be for me and for me to know what could the government do differently to be more inclusive of culture and linguistically diverse people.
Okay. So for the cult community, so for the culturally and linguistically diverse community, the government should have workshops designed to educate people on how to use the NDIS. It's as simple as that. There needs to be a system put in place where people from cult backgrounds can, I guess, talk to each other, be support to one another, and I guess help them to, I guess, learn more from about the NDIS so that they are able to utilize it and be, like I said, become more independent and become more, I guess, decisive with their actions, have a voice, have control. What the NDIS intends to do, because it's all about choice, voice, and control. But being from a culturally, linguistically diverse community, we're still struggling to acknowledge that. And often, yeah, it's all about parents making decisions for their children. So the government needs to run these workshops to educate. It's all about education. We always come back to the education. David's gone.
I'm back.
Welcome back, David. How was your trip?
You could,
David,
you
we
could
were talking
see,
about the NDIS.
huh?
We were talking about the NDIS
Yeah,
and the core community. What are your
and
thoughts on that?
the NDIS and
The core community.
the cold community.
How they
Well,
access the NDIS.
at first, they probably don't want to use it
Mm.
because
Why? Because
and
they're not educated about it.
they're not
Yeah.
educated enough, and
Mm.
how and sometimes it's like I don't want strangers in my house, but you need them.
Yeah, hold on, David. Frank has a question. Do you feel the LACs should be doing a better job at suggesting capacity building workshops? Yes, I totally agree, Frank. We should have these workshops put in place to better educate and assist people with disabilities from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. Yeah, thanks for the question, Frank. What are your thoughts? Should we have more of these workshops?
I reckon we should.
Yeah, it's important. It's important that we do get the message across to everyone, and that nobody's being left behind by the system. So yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Any
The
full thoughts?
What else do you want to
Yeah,
talk
Jonathan, you
about
had
in
something to say?
with?
Sorry, I think Jonathan had something to say.
I was just thinking there is a saying in the disability community. Nothing about us without us. And I think for people from the cold community to me there's not being included around the decision making table of how the NDIS include them better, and I guess that's something the agency needs to work on.
And yeah, totally agree. Everyone should be included in the decision-making process to help them become better in their lives. And yeah, in their everyday
Yeah,
lives. Simple as
if,
that.
if everyone's included, then they'll have more ideas and
True, true.
more things suggested.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I
So
agree.
they can't think
I
of
agree, Jax. It's
everything.
about knowing your rights and what is available for you to you. Thank you very much for that, Jax. Before we do wrap up, do you have any final thoughts
Before we do the what?
before we finish up?
Okay.
Any final thoughts?
Well, people with disability, what's good, cold backgrounds,
Mm.
they all have different beliefs and
Yeah,
different
yeah.
suggestions. Like,
Mm.
like with the Christian backgrounds, they
Yeah,
believe person with a disability is is like is 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 a blessing to the
yeah,
family.
yeah. Yeah, it's a blessing. It's
And
we're all human beings at the end of the day. We all come from the same place. Whether we have different beliefs, different race, whether we're able-bodied or people with disability, we all have needs. We have yeah. We're all on this, I guess, earth for a reason, and so we're all human beings. Just we gotta acknowledge that. It's
yes,
not rocket science, people. Jonathan, any final thoughts?
My final thought is really look
Yeah,
when the NDIS was first promised. It was meant to help everyone regardless of their background. And I think more work needs to be done to realize that promise.
yeah, yeah. True. Thanks for that, John. Just to answer your question, Frank. We usually go on for about half an hour, 40 minutes. Yes, I was just wrapping up. Um, Look, people from cold backgrounds, I think they need to be more educated and more included in the decision making process. We should not leave anyone behind. We are in a beautiful country. We're in a multicultural country, and so we gotta recognize people with disability as well as people disability from cultural backgrounds. Um, yeah, it's still simple as that, but yeah, no, it's so good.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
to realize everyone's got their own thoughts and their own needs, and everyone is a human, and everyone can express it different ways. If anyone likes to for us to talk about any subjects or anything that you think is relevant for you, can you please post it on the chat and suggest it to us, because we like to talk about what you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, David. So yeah, just let us know in the comments, and yeah, we'll go from there.
And if
Yeah,
there's anything you find needs to be improved, please leave it in the comments too.
yeah, your feedback is
okay.
more than welcome.
Thanks for everybody that listened. Please, if you have seen it, please, if you please do like it if you can, and share it.
Thank you, David. Yeah, like a chip, people.
Bye.